Welcome to the 1940s. Come with me to journey down the history of cosmetology. Fashion for men and women and children in the 1940s. The popular 1940s outfits for women included square-shouldered jackets with simple blouses and a matching skirt, shirtwaist dresses in long or short sleeves, and kitty foil dresses. New suits were made with a wool rayon blend instead of wool and often with patterned, especially striped, fabric. Single-breasted suits replaced double-breasted suits to preserve labor and materials. Suits and shirts were made with fewer pockets and narrower lapels. During the 1940s, men not in uniform often wore suits in public. Many made do with older suits from the 1930s. Suit vests fell out of favor as an excess use of fabric. New suits were made with a wool rayon blend instead of wool and often with patterned, especially striped, fabric. Young boys wore shorts or trousers with a blazer or jacket for more formal occasions or sweaters for casual wear. Along with knitted pieces, cotton dresses were popular for young girls. Peter Pan collars, puffed sleeves, and full skirts were present in most designs. While girls primarily wore dresses and skirts, very young girls sometimes wore overalls. In the later 40s, pinafores were worn over dresses, and throughout the 1940s, plaids, gingham, florals, and bright colors were popular choices, worn with contrasting white collars. The hair trends of 1940 were soft waves, curls, and rolls. The Victory rolls were probably the most iconic women's hairstyle in this decade. Men's haircuts were influenced by the golden age of cinema, jazz, and World War II. The era's short-cropped military cuts, which were practical, neat, and easily maintained, paved the way for today's versions of the buzz cuts, flat tops, and crew cuts. Pageboy and pixie haircuts were also popular. Fads and trends. Lace, passementerie, silk tassels, fringe, and beading details all returned to the late 40s outfits. Blouses and sweaters were paired with short-fitted jackets or shoulder capes. Two important accessories that completed every outfit were wrist-length gloves, fedora, pillbox, or bicorn hats. Music and televisions. 1940s music looked like swing, big band, jazz, Latin and country music. After World War II, the big band sounds of the earlier part of the decade had been gradually replaced by crooners and vocal pop. In the 1940s, most people listened to music on a radio, but some people had phonographs. Some well-known artists in this era were Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra, and Perry Como. Television during much of this decade existed in an inchoate form, more a projection of social and commercial fantasies than a public institution. And the production and revolution of the television was put to a halt during World War II. Movies made in the 1940s were Casablanca, 1942, It's a Wonderful Life, 1946, Cost of Living. The average yearly income in 1940 was about $1,340, and the average house was $2,500, and minimum wage was 30 cents. Average wage of a stylist or barber makes about $35,000 per year. Schooling and education needed to be a cosmetologist in the 1940s. Demand for cosmetologists continued to grow in the 1940s. With World War II, short haircuts became the standard. Cosmetologists were charged with the duty of giving women a perfect bob haircut. In shops, cosmetologists were the first people with ready access to beauty products. These shops were where most women first gained experience with beauty products. Women sought out cosmetologists for advice and access to merchandise. As men returned from World War II, women wanted to look glamorous. Glamour became the order of the day in the 1950s. With their training and skill, many women looked to cosmetologists for advice and assistance. With their sudden fame, cosmetologists became more respected. They also started earning better wages. Rules and regulations for cosmetologists in the 1940s were not yet established or set. Famous artists who helped set trends. The keys to 1940s fashion, central casting. One of the most influential of the era was Christian Dior's New Look collection that brought an air of elegance back to women's fashion. But again, fashion was heavily influenced by clothing rationing and utility attire during World War II. Interesting facts about the 1940s. In 1941, scientists developed another method of permanent waving using waving lotion. It was also called a cold wave because no heat was used. Today's modern versions of the cold waves are usually referred to as an alkaline perm and are still used today. As well, in the 1941, pedicures and foot massages became salon services. The aerosol can was originally invented during World War II to spray troops with insect repellent to prevent malaria, and a few years later aerosol technology was used to introduce hairspray in 1947, as well as Maurice King invented Barbicide, which is a styling tool disinfectant that is still used today in salons. Thank you all for joining in as we traveled through the history of 1940s cosmetology.